Well, it's been quite a minute since I've actually done an actual pepper video. I had some health issues last year, and I'm past 1 year since open heart surgery. Doing very well, thank you. And I've got some peppers from the garden, some peppers from the farmer's market, and some peppers from the mercantile. So we've got some jalapenos here that I'm going to, they're big green. I'm going to roast those and make a green sriracha. I've got some jalapenos from the garden that are a little red. I'll probably make a smaller batch of sriracha with the red ones. They're a little sweeter. These are poblamos from the garden. I'm going to ferment those and see how that comes out just by themselves. And then these are the hot peppers from the garden this year. I'm not growing a lot of the really super hots. This is as hot as they're getting from the garden. This is a red habanero. They have a wonderful aroma, and this should make some interesting sauce. These are a banana pepper from the farmer's market, and I'm going to just ferment those by themselves with no other heat. They make a nice savory sauce that's quite tasty. As far as the brine, I'm going to do it a little different. I'm not chop them up, put a lot of brine. I'm going to use a food processor and take these peppers down smaller in the jar. So I'm going to do the jars by size. So like a quart will get between 1.5 and 1.7 tablespoons of salt per quart. I'm going to blend the peppers, add the salt to the peppers, put the peppers in the jar, top it with water that's been filtered. And then that gives you 3% salinity there by volume. So it's a little different than what I normally do. I normally stick around at 2%. I'm going to bump that salt up just a little bit for these because I'm using less water, and see how that goes. But I don't want to go above the 3, so nothing more than about a 1.75 tablespoon of salt per quart. So I'm going to put it on fast or snapshot, fast forward type stuff while I process all these peppers. Thanks for being here. I hope that you learn a little bit. The minimum salinity that you want is 2%, which is about 1.5 tablespoons of salt per quart of water. So or volume, and so it can be either the peppers in the water or water. There's different ways to do it, but you want to keep that salinity level lower than probably 8% is way too high. I'd say 5%. I wouldn't go above if you're trying to get it to ferment. You get too much salt in there, it really just kind of cures it, doesn't ferment. So, all right, here we go. I want to mention one thing. Like before I start any of this, I use a sterilization process to sterilize the counter. Everything I'm working with, all the jars, the bowls, everything that's touching any of this is pre-sterilized. And then if I have to bring anything else out new or rinse or change, I use the sterilization fluid on it. I processed all the non-hot peppers, the banana peppers. I kind of had a little over 2 quarts. It's a lot of pulp. It's going to make some nice sauce. I added that to the rest of the, to fill the jar up on the poblamos. It won't hurt to mix those. Should come out pretty tasty anyway. And now we're going to process the hot stuff. So these ones are a little touchy. I'm not going to cut them. I'm just going to blend them and then pour them into the jar that I'm going to be processing them in. And I'm really curious as to how much I'm going to get out of there. Whether I'm going to have enough to fill a half gallon. I don't think it's going to fill it all the way. They're not as meaty as these other peppers. Their skin's thinner. And so I don't think I'm going to get enough to do this, but I think I'm going to get more than a quart. We'll see. I'm going to start blending this. not quite half a gallon of pepper pulp. Those peppers definitely have more meat than like the super hots. The super hots have really thin meat. You know, a bowl that size of super hots, you probably get about half that kind of level. I'm gonna let those air bubbles kind of settle out of that. But that's a pretty good little blend right there. It smells great. It's gonna be a good sauce. I'll probably end up, when I process these later on, I'll probably screen them to get remaining seeds out after the blend, that type of thing. Okay, so something I haven't done to these yet is to put these weights on top. So I'm going to go gingerly set this one in there. And that will keep the majority of the peppers below. Come and say hi. I can't find no lid to this one. Where's the lid to this one? The lid to the bleeder. Little white cap. Thanks for being there. Well, I ended up with 2 full quarts of the green jalapeno Saracha recipe. And the ones, the red ones, turned out kind of orangey instead of red, but a very, very heavy garlic on the orange flavored one. Pretty tasty stuff. So I got a 12 ounce and a 5 ounce out of that small group of red pepper jalapenos.